I'm Jason from Smoking and Drinking in Space, a sci-fi podcast from a couple guys who think they know sci-fi.
And I'm Rob from Smoking and Drinking in Capes, a superhero podcast from a couple guys who wish they had powers.
And we're part of the GonnaGeek Network, just like the show you're checking out now.
Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others.
And you can find other cool, awesome, geeky shows at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
This is the official GonnaGeek.com show. Here we run down the latest news and happenings in the world of geek. These are your hosts for the show, Steven, Chris, and SP.
Welcome to episode 420 of the official GonnaGeek Show. I was on camera when I did that. I'm Steven, and I'm pleased to say Chris Farrell is here.
I don't know what's going on, man. What's going on?
SP is not here. SP is away. He's doing other things than making 420 jokes.
420? What?
You know, Chris Farrell.
It's just Thursday, man.
You sound more like you're intoxicated with alcoholic substances.
Yeah, well, what can you do? I don't know. I don't know how these things work.
Me neither.
I don't get to partake. It's not legal where I am, Steven.
Well,
it's legal for you.
It is, but I also don't partake, and by that we mean
he partokes.
Oh my God. Brilliant. Brilliant. Never heard that before. Like it. That's good. If you are getting any of these references, my apologies. And if you are my children, how dare you get those references? That's right. I said it.
Oh God, that's true. Your kids are like the age now where they might actually find our show by accident.
I know. Apparently,
oh, man.
One of my kids did actually tell me that they pulled up one of the shows. I don't remember which one it was to show their friends. And I'm like, well, you shouldn't do that. You don't want to listen to that.
Well,
no, it's
the
me.
question is, did they think it was cool or were they making fun? Because roughly how old is the child in question here? I don't want to unveil your child.
I'm not going to say, but they're at the age where they have YouTube access. We'll say that.
Okay, fair. That's more what I was getting at.
And if you really want to go back
that
and
age,
hunt through the Steve and John Drew files, you can probably figure it out.
But we're at that age where it's kind of cool to make fun of your parents, though, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I hope so. I really hope so, because I'll have failed as a parent if they don't. That's like a rite of passage.
To be fair, we've provided at least 420 episodes worth of content that we can be mocked for on just this show alone. I mean, let's go back to some of the wild stuff on the Fanboy Buzz days where we were trying some insane, ridiculous internet stuff 20 years ago, almost 15 plus years ago.
You know,
I mean, I was only a guest host, but you guys did it forever.
It occurs to me, this should have been the last GonnaGeek Show, because that show ended on episode 169. It made a joke. So now I got to figure out what the next episode number joke is for this. And then that'll be the target end date.
469.
I might have to go with 1069 instead. We'll see.
What about 467? I don't get it. I just had to do it.
It's so good. So good. But no, seriously, SP is not here this week. We do wish that he was here, but he is otherwise occupied. So we hope that we will get one more show in before the end of the year, where the three of us can have annual festivities. Basically, it's a normal show where we wear hats. That's
in chat. That's a threat, not a promise.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's the other way around.
Keep your eyes on the Discord or the social medias, because we will make sure to let you know. I really hope that this isn't the last before there, because I would like to say happy holidays to everybody, but I'm not going to say it because it's only December 4th.
But Steven, where do I find you all on the social medias?
The best place is to go to GonnaGeek.com/Discord. That's awesome. And then you can also go to Facebook.com/GonnaGeek. Technically, that's there. You can check out Chris Farrell and I, and actually SP on the Blue Skies. You can check that out. We are over on the Blue Skies, and also on Threads is SP and I. And I think all three of us are also on, what's the third one? Mastodon, sometimes, maybe.
Oh, yeah, I do have a Mastodon.
Maybe.
Did I lose my domain?
You lost the domain?
I thought I owned chrisfarrell.net, and evidently I don't, or someone poached it from me.
So you're saying that right now so someone else can post it? Or
Yeah,
is it,
go for it. I
is it
don't
already
care.
poached?
I'm pretty sure it's already poached. It must not have renewed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oops.
Sorry to
I'm not
hear.
really worried about it. I didn't really need it.
This
I'm trying to remember where I migrated it to.
This has been your domain renewal reminder. Shing.
Right? Chris might have screwed himself here.
Uh-oh. Well,
Yeah, whatever.
if you want, you can pay me some money and we can get you a .ca. You can't get it yourself, but we can make it work.
I'm more entertained than anything because I thought I had it auto-renewed.
feel-
This is a wild discovery that I'm making while we're doing the show right now.
I feel really bad for you. I legitimately do. And now
I don't.
Now I'm
I
actually
think it's
wondering,
hilarious.
what have I let lapse? I really hope nothing. Anyways, if you do want to check out other things that have had their domains renewal lapsed, you should check out the GonnaGeek Network, GonnaGeekNetwork.com. There's several podcasts on there which have had that happen before.
Yeah.
Let's get into the
To
news.
be fair, I've owned way too many domains, so I need to let some go.
Yeah, actually, I was just going to segue to the news, but I want to talk about that for a second because I have been trying so hard over the last year to purge renewal expenses, and I'm just like, there's so many domains I have, and I have funneled it down. If you're listening, you know who you are. No, I'm not giving that one up, but I'm trying. I'm really trying. All right, let's talk some news here. It's very exciting to talk some news, especially when it's news about Netflix. Netflix is your favorite streaming service, right, Chris Farrell?
It is the best. I use it. Actually, it's not terrible. I have too many services right now, though, so I kind of let some of them go from time to time.
Yeah, I hear you on that. But let's have you think back, though, to the early days of your Netflix use when you were phone-based streaming Netflix. Sorry, this is the post-disc Netflix. This is when you actually got into streaming. You know, back during the initial Google Chromecast era, how cool was it that you could go and pop open the Netflix app on your phone, watch some stuff, see the little cast icon, and then cast it to Google Cast? It was incredible. It was like, look, the phone is my remote for this Netflix service. This is awesome. With a flick of a button, I am casting away, and I am somehow controlling my TV through my phone. Well, if you are somebody who's continued to do this using the cast button, you are probably in for a little bit of a surprise, or maybe have been surprised even already, finding out that you can no longer do this, sort of. That's right. Netflix has updated its app to remove most casting options. This means, I know, it's awful. This means that you might have to actually dig into that sofa of yours, reach past those old Cheetos and tater tots in order to find the remote for your smart TV. Now, why do I say that? Because when I say it's removed most casting options, that's because they have basically made it so that if you are using a device that is remote capable, you cannot do the cast option anymore. Internet sleuths have figured out that there is still a little bit of this casting option around on the Netflix app if you are using an ad-free tier version and you are trying to cast to a version or a device that does not have a remote, then yes, you likely will still see this icon and cast. But for many people, they are using casting through things like their smart TVs, which will have a remote on there, and thus it is not a device that you can do the casting anymore with. We don't know exactly when they implemented this, but I did see a post that said that they had found the earliest reference that they could find was a Reddit post on November 14th. So it looks like it's been at least a couple of weeks. It's also worth noting that this isn't entirely a new thing, because back in 2019, Netflix made some changes to the AirPlay support that pretty much stripped features of AirPlay support through the app as well. I'm not really sure why they're doing this. There's got to be a reason. I assume there's some form of upkeep necessary. I don't know. Maybe they have a deal with somebody to push people towards buying new devices. I have no idea.
I mean, I thought the intent of the CAST protocol when it was originally envisioned, granted we're talking 10 plus years probably at this point, was that Google basically gave you the library and you just implement a library, for lack of a better term. It was supposed to be minimal work for the development teams to have to do much on. Maybe that's not the case anymore. Is Google the bad guy here?
Yeah.
Or are they both bad? I don't know.
I'm curious what the reason was. Nobody that I could see online found a reason why. But yep, if that button's missing for you, you now know why. So I have a question for you, Chris Farrell.
Yeah, quest away.
As a fellow Android user, how often do you use those built-in cast buttons anymore?
And see, that's what I was actually just about to bring up in regards to Netflix, is they probably have the metrics to how often it's used, and that probably drove his decision. I will tell you, when it comes to video, I rarely do it other than to occasionally throw a YouTube video up on the TV or something like that. I do it more often for audio, just so I can do multi-room audio fairly easily to a speaker group or something like that. But even then, I am doing it much less so than I did in the past. It's maybe once a week, whereas prior to our move and my moving things around, I was doing it daily at the very least. I had protocols set up when I was working from home where I could be listening to something downstairs in my basement. And then I've learned eventually, when something was playing via cast, you could say, move it to whatever the name of another speaker group was. So I had a speaker group called Coffee. There was every speaker between my desk in my house and my kitchen, so that I could have the music, or in this case, sports talk radio generally, because that's what I started my morning with, because it only requires passive listening while I'm working on other stuff. And it would follow me to the kitchen and follow me back downstairs. And when I got back downstairs, I'd say, hey, G Word, move this to the office. And it would only play on the office speakers. So I used it a ton, and I was probably an outlier because I doubt people used it a ton. And I don't know. I mean, I don't even find myself using like the multi-room music and stuff like that anymore. So like at first glance, I'm like, man, Netflix is removing this feature that has been there forever that a lot of people are probably using. And now I'm going, well, maybe they're not actually using it, because it seems now the preferred method for generations younger than me, caveat, I'm a 41-year-old man, so there's a lot of people younger than me, is that they watch their Netflix content on their phone or their tablet or their laptop. They're not worried as much as people around my age were of throwing it to watch on the big screen.
You know, it did make me also wonder, though, a little bit about the opposite. We've talked before about how remotes, like the Harmony, went out because a lot of people did move away from app or from remote use to app use. And now I'm thinking like the delineation here is whether or not you have a device that is cast or is Netflix capable that has a remote. So my thoughts are, does this mean that more people are using a remote again when they are in fact using their big screens? And so I'm wondering, do we see the resurgence of many remotes across the coffee table?
Well, what are your devices though that you were casting to that didn't have a remote? The Chromecast didn't have a remote. We know that. Smart speakers that had screens on them didn't have a remote, so you could cast to those.
Yeah.
But what other devices did you have in your house? And maybe we're outliers, because again, we're older than the younger demographic, that you would want the option to cast to that didn't have a remote.
It's a good question, and I think you covered it there.
I mean, in theory, the thought is it's probably easier to push the voice button on your remote and say, play random show X, and then it brings it up and launches Netflix or whatever other app that show is on. And it's arguably quicker than pulling out your phone, scrolling to the right thing, hitting the cast button, having to remember to disconnect the cast button in theory so it doesn't keep going. So
and display certain videos onto the public TV.
I guess that's true too. So I think I sort of see what they're getting at here is that it's probably not used a whole lot. So why are we maintaining it? Even if it's easy to maintain, why do you incur that technical debt of keeping it going? I don't know. I've kind of wishy-washy this one.
Well, if you have any thoughts, come to our Discord. We'd love to hear your thoughts. It's GonnaGeek.com/Discord. And while you're over there, you can also chime in about Chris's next news point that he's got here.
This one legitimately bummed me out when I saw it, I think yesterday, and I saw it in passing on Blue Sky, and then I went, wait, am I reading this right? And I read the article, and yeah, it was. So I don't know. People in this chat room, at least I know a few, and I know Steven, we're probably all familiar with the company name of Crucial. It's a name you might recognize for buying solid state storage, for buying RAM, for pretty much RAM kits and solid state hard drives and build your own computers or modifying stuff on your own. Well, I had never really paid attention enough to realize that that is not like the primary brand. It's owned by a company called Micron. And Micron announced this week they are retiring the Crucial brand, which marks the end of life of the Crucial branded, more importantly, budget-friendly solid-state hard drives and RAM kits. Micron said they're winding down its consumer-focused business, which will, quote, improve supply and support for our larger strategic customers and faster-growing segments. So what does that mean, Stephen, when I say something like that?
I don't know. What does it mean?
AI. They're putting all of it into hardware for AI tools because the consumer doesn't need it. The money is all going to AI because AI is going to do everything. Because that's what we keep hearing, right? AI is the solution to everything.
I love how AI is basically a perpetual money scheme. That's what it is.
I am a skeptic in a lot of cases. There are some things that are interesting that it does, but I find more often than not, if I'm asking the AI to do something, it's enough for me to sort of get a start on it and pick it up from there. It's not enough for me to trust it with the end result. And it's kind of frustrating because you're seeing across all aspects of both my professional and personal life, everyone's like, we'll just have the AI do it. And I'm like, I don't trust that it's right.
Yeah,
all the time.
No, I hear you on that. And just to take a little tangent here, I do use it in my work quite a bit, but I use it as a starting point. And
exactly.
And I work with people who don't see it as that. They like just take it as like this is the right answer. This is the end of it. And it's like, no. Why don't you take that same question and say try again, and you'll find that it's going to give you a different answer, which means that you shouldn't just be blindly trusting it.
Right. Yeah, I have my own concerns, both professionally and personally, when it comes to the use of AI.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to keep an open mind. But let's get back to this story. Crucial is basically being shut down because Micron wants to, instead of selling relatively cheap RAM and solid state storage to consumers, sell more advanced stuff to AI developers and for using for AI hardware, because that's where all the money is right now, which is really kind of a bummer because I don't know about you, Stephen, but when I was back in my day of building computers or updating hardware for more storage, more often than not, one of the things I looked at first was Crucial because generally, while it was cheaper, it was still of relatively decent quality. So it didn't feel like you were getting ripped off for going the Crucial route. You felt like you were getting a good deal, and they actually did a really good job of supporting their products.
Yeah, 100%. I was just trying to think where I had them. I was going to pull them out, but I have several SSDs sitting around right now.
Micron has said they will keep shipping Crucial products until the end of February 2026. So I guess you can rush to get that stuff now if you really want to be able to have it in the future, but prices are already spiking anyways. And they have said they will, quote, provide continued warranty service and support, end quote. Now, I have no idea how long that window is, but I would assume in February 2026, whatever the warranty period is for anything you purchase then, their support will last at least that long.
This is a bummer. This really is a bummer. Yeah. Like you said, there's so many good product. Well, not so many, but they're a reliable product, and I'm bummed. You ruined my day, Chris. Thanks.
Yeah, I try. So I'm going to scrap the questions I was going to ask, but like, is this our generation's, hey, Kodak's going under, they're changing the name of this, or things like that? Are we starting to get to that point now where these brands that we not necessarily grew up with, but had our adult life relying on are now magically disappearing? And we're like, well, back in my day, Crucial was the greatest.
I think so. And
Oh man, we're old.
I have to say that as much as these sort of things do impact the market, I really, it makes me a little happy that I've switched primarily to a Mac Mini, because like, and the reason I say that is because yes,
Me too.
components are going to increase still. Yeah, for the audio listener, Chris is holding up his magic
You can't
keyboard.
see the Apple on the back of my keyboard. Here.
Yeah, I can see
sort
it.
of.
Yeah, you can see it.
Whatever.
Because like at least they've really honed in on the idea of their own hardware, right? They're getting there. Yes, they still are having external vendor components and things like that, but they're really working on their own pipeline for hardware, and a lot of it is proprietary now. And I usually hate proprietary stuff, but this AI has just ruined the hardware reliability on computer components. And
Well,
you used to be able to go,
because the money's not there.
Yeah,
people are like, I don't need to sell to consumers.
you used to go and be like, okay, I'll buy a PC. I know that I can get the RAM I need now, and it'll be more affordable down the road to buy some more RAM if I get in before the next generation comes out. You can't do that anymore. And at least here with Apple, you know that they are going to have their products that are geared towards the consumer market. And this is completely ass backwards for everything I've ever said on the show.
Hold on.
Okay, what?
But the key thing with Apple is, even if you wanted to replace your RAM,
Is-
you can't, because they
Fair.
solder that crap
Fair
in when
point.
you buy it.
Although somebody did tell me that I think it's the SSD is relatively easy to outdo on the M4. I'm sorry, the M.
Again, I will point out,
Yeah,
it is soldered
I
in
know,
because
I
it's
know.
not designed to
I
be
know.
user replaceable, which ironically is the stuff that we used to decry
I know.
when we were massive PC users.
And still am. I still fault that. However, at
Fair.
least you know that they're going, we want to make a product for this price point, and they're not being dictated here by mass swings in the way that AI is ruining the price points on hardware for the PC. And it sucks. Like, because I still like every day operate under, I feel, some limitations having moved to a Mac Mini for my personal workflows. But you know, the price was right, and there were some benefits for environmental factors in my den. And
Power bill too.
yeah. And I don't like the fact that the PC component market is so volatile. And this is an example of it, because first it's them, then it's another company that you and I have grown up with. And I say first them, there's been others, but it's like video cards continue to be a problem. I believe, wasn't there some news around Arc, that Arc is being swallowed as well? So it's like the GPU market's probably going to go high again, even though it's already high, but it's going to go probably back to where it was.
It's too high.
Yeah. And it's just like every win lately seems to come by AI ruining it. And I don't know. Anyways, that's enough Mac credit. Somehow I turned it into me, what do you call it? Being a Mac, not a Mac fanboy, a Mac apologist. Is that what it is? Yeah.
I guess so.
There we go.
But here's the thing: all those price increases you talked about for the PC market will get hit with it just as hard if you upgrade your Mac hardware too, because the Macs have always had the premium price.
Yeah, that's true.
Let alone before the prices increase of memory and solid state hard drives and GPUs. Yes, Apple makes their own of a lot of those things still, but the raw materials they still have to procure to do it. And those price increases are not something Apple's going to be like, well, we'll choose to make 83% profit on this instead of the original 91%. This is arbitrary numbers, guys.
Yeah.
Please don't write me any hate mail. Be like, Chris, it's absolutely not that. Why are you saying that? But my point is, the cost difference is going to be passed on to the consumer, regardless of whether you are a PC user, an Apple user, a mobile only user who's getting tablets and stuff like that. As all of these prices adjust, the companies aren't eating it. We're eating it.
Yeah. And I shouldn't have made it sound like I think that Apple will be impervious to all of these, because at the very least, the market goes up and they go, hey, our product can go up. That's how business works. But what I guess my point was more so that the fact that they have a pretty good lead on their own hardware development means that they're not like Dell, where Dell is, well, Dell's a bad example. They're not like I don't know who doesn't make proprietary components. Does HP? No, I don't. They're not like a major PC vendor who's relying primarily on third-party components, and all of a sudden those go up, and they're like right away gotta pivot with at least things like the Apple Silicon and stuff like that. They have their own development. So I guess that's more what I was getting at. But yeah, you're entirely right.
Oh, I'm going to clip that.
There's a lot in there you should clip and play back to Steven of last year.
I'm going to go back in time and play it to Steven of 10 years ago.
You should. All right. Well, moving on to our next news point here. This news comes courtesy of my youngest son. Because it was, I feel so proud. I feel so proud because I was working at home. I guess it was, when was it? Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. And it was. And
or the day before. I can't remember.
I don't remember. Anyways, he comes to me and he goes, hey, take a look at this. And he starts telling me about the Samsung Trifold phone, because he had found out that it had been officially announced before I did. So let's back up here a little bit. Have you ever said to yourself, self, I need more screen space and one fold is just not enough? Well, you are in luck, because on December 2nd, Samsung did announce that they are releasing their Galaxy Z Trifold. That's right. They are digging into the day of the yesteryear of your favorite adult magazine with the centerfolds, and they are going to make a trifold phone. Yeah, that's right. I said it.
I'm thinking innocently like the Nintendo Power magazines, where we had magazines that fold out.
No, that's Steven not where I'm going.
The Playboy route.
Hey, I didn't want to narrow it down. I didn't want to say just
I'm
one
sorry,
company.
it could be any variety of dirty mag.
Right? There were several of them.
They don't exist anymore.
No,
they're antiques, but
and again, dating ourselves here.
Ken in the chat goes, you went Playboy and not Mad Magazine?
Yeah, so the Galaxy Z Trifold will, as it sounds, fold 3 times. I'll argue a little bit on that, but that's the intention of it. It has an extra screen over the traditional fold, and it will be a 10-inch main screen, 6.5-inch cover screen, and 5,600 milliamp hour battery. When unfolded, it will be 3.9 millimeters at its thinnest point, and it will have a 200 megapixel camera as well. I haven't seen exact specs on that because I know Samsung has a few different cameras in their different products. So 200 megapixel doesn't necessarily say which one it is. I hope it is the one that's the main display on the Ultra, and I think it's the same. Anyways, there's a couple that they have the same main camera, so we'll see. The phone's been currently announced in Korea, but is scheduled to come to China, Taiwan, Singapore, and the UAE and the US. Have not seen anything listed about Canada. I assume maybe, but it's not until next year. So I want to ask this question. Why haven't you put your order in yet, Chris? You're the fold guy of this podcast.
Well, I mean, yes, I am, but here's one reason why. It's going to be god-awful expensive, I assume.
Yeah, it's going to be insane.
the folding phone that I have that is just is a single fold to have one screen folded in half was what, $1,800? I think it was. Now, caveat, this is not me humble bragging. I did not pay that because they offered a ridiculous trade-in in the Google Fi store for trade-in. So I paid far less than that. But I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting development. I think there's a use case there for some folks. But for me personally, I've talked about it on this show before. My next phone will probably not fold because I don't find myself unfolding the phone near as much as I thought I would when I got it. It was a cool gimmick. It was fun to play with from time to time. It's okay for consuming content, but like just for playing music or stuff like that, or wanting to check email real quick, I don't unfold it. Maybe that's partially me be like, oh, that's more wear and tear on the hinge. I don't want to have to put needless wear and tear on there. I don't know. But part of it's like, I don't really need the full unfolded screen just to look at an email that came in or to reply to a text message. Like I might use it for content if I'm watching, and I might use it if I want to have, say, blue sky up on half the screen and a YouTube video or something like that. But I don't find myself doing that very often. So for me, the folding phone was, oh, this sounds like something really cool. And it's cool in theory, but when I start using it, I'm like, oh, no, I don't really use this. I think I would rather just have the Pixel X, the next version of the Pixel XL or the S25, whatever the larger size screen one is. I always forget the naming convention because that's probably of more utility to me because I just don't use the unfolding screen a ton. I think there's great potential there for other people. Like I had to get my HVAC replaced. I was talking about in pre-show in the chat room. And the guy that was coming to give me the quote and run numbers and stuff like that was like, oh, that's one of those folding phones. He goes, that would be great for me when I'm trying to show customers stuff. And he goes, I don't always bring my tablet to do it. He goes, it'd be really nice if I could just unfold my phone and be able to show them literature on products and stuff like that on a much bigger screen, or show them pictures of previous installs on a screen that's like 7-8 inches versus your standard half size screen, for lack of a better term, when it comes to the folding phone. So I think the use case is there, maybe, but from a traditional, I like to play with tech aspect of things, I don't see it. And it's why I haven't upgraded, because this is the 9 Fold Pro 2, whatever. I can't remember how they call it, the naming convention, because it sucks on all these phones. But it's a generation behind because we're up to the Pixel 10s now. And I tell you what, I looked very briefly just to see what was there. I went, it's not worth the cost of doing any of that stuff. So I'm just kind of chilling.
I just took a look. The Galaxy Z Fold 7, which is the latest one in Canada, is for the base model 256 is $24.99 Canadian, and in the US it is $19.99, so $1,999 and $2,499, and so that's the Samsung. So what do you think the Trifold's going to be?
Yeah, I mean, that also brings to a separate point that we've beaten into the ground on this show over the years. Because, like, you go back to early days of the GonnaGeek Show, tech was advancing really fast on smartphones. We were always talking about new innovations and here's why you should upgrade or why it's interesting. We haven't been there for like a decade at this point, probably. When's the last time you saw a new phone showcase when, oh my God, I have to get that because there's some feature I can't get? No, more often than not, it's like, hey, here's this cool software thing.
Yeah.
It'll be exclusive to this line of phone for 6 months before we port it down, stuff like that. But like, we're at the point now where there's not really must-have upgrades. There's nice-to-have upgrades. So like, that's why this phone's a year and a half old. And well, I'm not showing on camera. And I literally have no inclination to replace it because it does everything I need it to with no problem. And I guess the trade-off with the folding phone here and only using the front screen most of the time, I do have a big honking battery, so I don't have to charge as often.
Oh, nice. That's pretty good.
That's the trade-off, I guess, but I'm not sure it's worth the price differential when you could just toss it on a wireless charger on your desk and call it a day. And they do handicap wireless charging on the folding phone, at least for the Pixel 9 line. It is only like 7.5 watts max on the fold phone, whereas I think the other ones could get like 20 watts,
right?
Maybe. Am I talking out my butt there?
No,
and not realizing that? That sounds right.
I think you're right. Yeah. I'm trying to think. Yeah. Now you got me wondering. I know there was some variance there, though. One thing that I was just going to mention as you're talking about your battery there, a little side note here, another side tangent. My son's Pixel 6 stopped working, and I'm pretty sure it was the battery. He thought he didn't shut it off and was playing games all day, and then I looked up in the family app his screen time, because he's not allowed to have it on in school. So I looked it up, and first off, the GPS hadn't moved from our house, and then it showed very minimal screen time in the morning, so it wasn't running all day. And so now I can't even get it to start up. Luckily, we had a spare that he can use for now. But yeah, every time I plug it in, I've tried different chargers and stuff. I will get it to show as charging, but then it comes down and if I leave it unplugged, will show as 0%. But also, if I do have it plugged in and I get to one of the recovery screens or something like that, then it will keep on. And sometimes I'll get to the loading logo and the G and the loading logo with the Google G, and it'll just sit there forever. So I'm not sure. So he learned a valuable lesson in making sure things are backup enabled. Most of it was good to go. His backup was 4 days old, but not his photos. He turned that off. So lesson to be learned.
So I guess the question here in regards to that is, have you noticed, does the back of the phone case appear misshapen or have any weird lumps, to make sure you don't have a battery that's turning into a spicy pillow, for lack of a better term?
This is it right here. And no signs of anything. And I was so, again, that
has been my first concern, to be honest.
Both my sons have been making me proud, because this is the other son than the one that told me about the fold. He right away said it doesn't look like it's bulging or anything. So
smart.
Loved it almost as much as I love toilet talk. Wait, well, what?
Oh man,
don't tell him I said that.
We're back, baby. We're back. That's right. I teased it at the top of the show. For those of you guys who are here with pre-show, we're back with more toilet talk. For those who aren't familiar, it's become a recurring gag as we talk about tech and toilets and things like that. And this is actually a follow-on story from a story I believe Steven had for us about the Kohler smart toilet that had cameras in it that was allowing you to monitor fecal material to ensure that there was no blood, or to monitor it for health and wellness purposes. Remember, it was like a $599 device that mounts to your toilet for $7 a month subscription after that. Well, one of the things we'd have joked about there is like, well, I'm not sure how much you need to worry about the security, because even if it did get hacked, who's really going to want to take looks at your poos? Well, I mean, that still kind of holds true, but there have been some concerns brought up about the secure nature of the Kohler toilet camera. I believe it's called the Decoda.
That sounds familiar.
This is, I went to arstechnica.com to find this information, so I'm kind of paraphrasing some stuff from the Ars article as we go. But the discussion raises questions about Kohler's use of the term, quote, end-to-end encryption, end quote, and the inherent privacy limitations of a device that is filming the going-ons of your toilet bowl. So back in October, Kohler had announced their first health product. This was the Decoda camera. They described the $599 device as a toilet bowl attachment that uses optical sensors and validated machine learning algorithms to deliver valuable insights into your health and wellness. If you want more information on this, go back an episode or two in the GonnaGeek archives. You can see where we talked about it. Kind of at first made fun of the concept, then realized, hey, there might actually be some interesting health reasons for why this could be useful. As part of their announcement, they said data flows to the personalized Kohler Health app will give users continuous private awareness of key health and wellness indicators on their phones. Features like fingerprint authentication and end-to-end encryption are designed for user privacy and security. So you guys are probably familiar with end-to-end encryption. We see it on things like Signal, encrypted messaging, and other messaging apps and stuff like that. It's basically so that only a message's sender and recipient can view the decrypted messages, prevents a third party, including an app developer, from being the man in the middle that could read things in between. But how does end-to-end encryption apply to a camera inside a toilet? Well, software engineer and former FTC technology advisor Simon Fondry Teitler sought answers this week concerning that Kohler Health doesn't have any user-to-user sharing features. He wrote in a blog post, quote, "Emails exchanged with Kohler's privacy contact clarified that the other end that can decrypt the data is Kohler themselves. User data is encrypted at rest when it's stored on the user's mobile phone, toilet attachment, and on our systems. Data in transit is also encrypted end-to-end as it travels between the user's device and our systems, where it is decrypted and processed to provide our services. Ars Technica contacted Kohler themselves to ask if this was accurate, if Kohler employees can access data from Dakota devices. A spokesman returned with a company statement that basically argued that data gathered from Dakota devices is encrypted from one end, the toilet camera, until it reaches the other end, the Kohler servers. So effectively, once it gets to their servers, it may or may not be encrypted in the same manner, way, shape, or manner. They do say they encrypt user data at rest, whether it's stored, but they have to do decryption activities outside of the end-to-end encryption. So there is potential that this could be exploited, and you have cameras in a sensitive location. So I, A, find it kind of entertaining, but B, it kind of makes me think back to some of the jokes we were making of, yeah, someone's going to hack and get your poo data. Steven, do you think someone's going to hack and get our poo data now?
Of course they are. Well, who wouldn't want to get that? It would be they'd brown mail us. You see what I did there? See what I did?
I see what you did there.
Okay. At the risk of TMI, well, not TMI, just bad visuals. Yes, that is a concern. I think that stuff should stay private, but I'm trying to picture how a camera would work in a toilet bowl. And people with certain genitalia have things that hang down sometimes. And I feel like they're likely to be on said camera if they're sitting.
Well, I guess it's more of, and I haven't looked in depth at the literature for the camera, but it looks like it hangs fairly low in the bowl and the camera faces downwards. So assuming this camera is mounted more towards, say, the 5 o'clock position on the bowl as you sit on it versus the 6 o'clock position, say the 4 or 5 o'clock position or something like that, you might not have as much concern about other parts being seen, whether they be whatever.
You might not have that concern, but some of us sure do. Because...
Okay, fair enough. I think it's more of a concern here is once you kind of start parsing what they're doing with this, they're throwing around terms that make you think, oh, this is fully secure. Nothing's ever going to happen. But instead, one of the things they argue in the Ars Technica article is saying throwing security terms around the public doesn't understand to try and create an illusion of data privacy and security being a high priority for your company is misleading to the people that have bought your product.
Yeah.
It's not quite how they've described it when it comes to securing your data. And like we joke about, oh, you're going to get access to pictures of my poo and stuff like that. That may not necessarily, the picture itself is not necessarily the part that you would be as concerned about, but maybe more so the health data that is gleaned from that photography and stuff like that. Not necessarily that someone can use that to be malicious, but more, Kent just put in the chat what I was starting to think. Insurance company hacks in your toilets, get your poo data, decides you're having an issue, raises the rates, or decides you're not qualified for certain things. That's the worst case scenario, things like that, of course. But I don't know. This connected world we live in, it's just kind of a continuation of what we joked about before, where I go, even if I was interested in this, which I'm not, this would be another reason that I'd be like, oh, I don't know about this.
Yeah. With that said, I guess there are some people that are not as modest as you and I are, and they don't care what's out there, and so it might be a non-issue for them. And I'm say that half jokingly, but legitimately, there are people who have many cloud connected security cameras around their house, and they are quite the nudists in the middle of the night running around as their major website gets hacked.
One Linus Sebastian.
Oh, is that who I'm referring to? Personally, I don't like it, cloud connected internal cameras myself, even though I actually am not one that runs around in the buff.
Well, you don't know what you're missing out on, Steve.
Fair enough.
By that I mean hacking into the cloud connected cameras to see it. No, I'm just kidding. But
I do know.
You do raise a point there that You do raise an interesting point, though, that to some people, these considerations may not be problematic because more or less the data is secure, but they were kind of obscuring the fact that it's not as obscure as not as safe as they make it seem because of some of the stuff that they're doing.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a great potential here for your health data to get leaked or anything like that. I think it's more a problem of they tried to be too smart about what they were saying.
Yeah.
And didn't actually say what was going on. So then the people that are more technology inclined dig in and throw the BS flag like, whoa, 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 whoa. This is not what you said. And if you're getting this for your own health considerations because you're someone where this is something you should be monitoring, it's probably a cost that you're willing to accept is that it is not quite as secure as was originally envisioned. That's not to say it's insecure.
Yeah,
either.
Fair point. Well, we'd love to know your thoughts. You should come to our Discord at GonnaGeek.com/Discord. You can chat over in a couple different channels that you'd like. You can come over to the official GonnaGeek Show channel, or you can go over to the Toilet Talk channel. It's still there. Toilet Talk channel. It's as long as we've got it active, we've got some form of toilet talk going on. We're going to keep it around. So come on over to Toilet Talk. Speaking of toilet talk, let's get into Black Friday deals.
Is it toilet talk continuing because we bought them while sitting on the bowl in many of these cases potentially?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, if you didn't know, this Black Friday was this past week. It's kicked off.
Cyber Monday.
And Cyber Monday. Black Friday became a thing because those Americans have their holidays way too close together. And so...
And Toilet Tuesday.
Yeah. And so they have their Thanksgiving in a weird time of year, which is end of November. You know, you got to put up with your family to have Thanksgiving and then say, oh, they're free, and then come back for Christmas just a couple weeks later. But that's what they do. And because of that, there is the semi-holiday called Black Friday, which is when people like to fight over TVs at their local Wally World. Doesn't happen so much anymore, but Black Friday is a thing. So we thought we would carry on our usual tradition of talking about things that we've bought on these sale days. And Chris, I'm going to turn it over to you in a minute there, but I just want to say, I actually didn't buy that much this year because I have to say that I was not that impressed with this year's Canadian Black Friday deals. This is a thing that I've noticed. Some years it's really good because Black Friday is a relatively recent thing. Our big sales used to be Boxing Day, the day after Christmas, and then it finally flipped, which I'm not going to lie, I would much rather have the sale when it is now with Black Friday because it's before Christmas. So I would absolutely rather have it there. But some years it's good, some years it's not. And a lot of the deals I was seeing up here in Canada, I know for sure I've seen better ones elsewhere in the year. So anyways, I'll turn it over to you to start because you've got some fun stuff.
So that's fair. I kind of made a list here and I'll work my way from the bottom of the list and go up. Some of it was simple stuff. Like I finally got around to picking up James Gunn's Superman on 4K Blu-ray because I think it was down to like $12. And I was like, a physical disc comes with a digital copy for $12. Okay, that's pretty much, I could buy it digitally for $10, but for $2 more, I can have a physical copy of my own. So I was okay with that deal. Next thing I got, and you can blame Snazzy Labs on YouTube for this because he always puts out a fun little Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Here's some cool tech stuff that's relatively inexpensive. I picked up a new 10,000 milliamp hour portable battery. This one's by Inui, I believe is the company name. And it is does 45 watt fast charging, powered USB power delivery, charges real fast, and it's really tiny. But mostly why I did this is because the battery I have been carrying on my work backpack, I'm pretty sure it's one of the ones that just got recalled by Anchor, I think it was.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I guess I should probably get a better battery to carry around that may or may not. I don't think mine was one of the serial numbers impacted, but at the same time, I was like, yeah, I think I should be done with this. So that's mostly why I had gone and done that. I only left the house for one thing, and I haven't talked about it on the show yet, but I've kind of been enjoying getting a little bit back into some vintage game collecting, trying to get some games from my childhood. And there's a local game store here that on Black Friday was doing like 20% off all of their vintage in case games, so like not commons. So I did go out Friday. They opened at 11. I left the house about 10:30. I got there and I was probably 25 deep in line or whatever. But they had one of the women that worked there pretty much working through the line as people were trying to check out to say, hey, what were you interested in the glass case, and getting things out for us to put behind the desk with our name on it. So they were able to grab me a few games, and I didn't spend a ton. I think I spent, like, when it was all said and done, less than $100, but I picked up things like Jurassic Park for SNES, because that's a game I had as a kid that I wanted to revisit.
Awesome.
Fun game. Spider-Man and X-Men Arcade's Revenge on the SNES, which is also another game I had as a kid. This game, I got like one off of the shelf that was beat to hell. The label's all worn out, but I don't care. I just want to go and play the game. And I did pick up some stuff on the Genesis. Why? Because I didn't have a Genesis as a kid. So I'm kind of enjoying. I have a Retron 5 HD that I use for playing vintage games. It'll do like Genesis, NES, SNES, Game Boy, Master System, and something else I think I'm forgetting. So I did pick up a few Genesis games, like, NBA Jam Tournament Edition, because if you're roughly my age, NBA Jam was, I can't say that word, was the S word. When you were a kid, you're like, hell yeah, he's heating up and stuff like that. We played that all the time.
We had a tradition actually growing up where we would play that on New Year's Eve.
Yes, I love it. So I also picked up on Genesis Krusty's Super Fun House, because that was a game I'd wanted as a kid, but never been able to get. And that one was cool because it was everything in case, including the manuals and all that stuff. So it was in pristine shape. And then also picked up, because I never got a chance to play as a kid on SNES, let alone Genesis, Spider-Man Maximum Carnage, which was kind of a brawler beat 'em up where you played as Spider-Man and Venom fighting symbiotes. And I picked it up on Genesis. It was not in the greatest shape, but I really just picked it up so I could play it and have the cool box art sitting on my shelf. I paid like less than $30 after the discount. And then I think on N64, because it was buy one, get one free for any of the stuff that was on the shelves, I picked up a copy of WCW versus NWO World Tour, because I had bought a $10 game already. And I was like, well, I can get this $8 game for free with getting it. And there's nothing like a little old school pro wrestling games.
Okay, so we're scratching the surface here on something I didn't know. How many retro consoles do you have now?
Well, so I have the Retron 5, which plays a bunch of stuff.
Oh,
and
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I still have my N64 for when I was a kid. Although, if you might have seen Analog, are you familiar with a company called Analog, who's done like the Game Boy remake and SNES and NES remakes using all FPGA?
No, I didn't. I'm not.
Stuff. Well, so they're a company that does limited run stuff of, instead of emulating these things, the Retron 5 is an emulator. You can buy consoles, because all the patents are pretty much open now, where you can go and play these things. So they have just released the first FPGA console that plays all N64 games. And I have my N64 console and I have a bunch of my games, but it only plays in like 480i. And if you upscale it, you can sort of do it. Well, they have a product called the 3D, Analog 3D, that'll play all of your N64 games upscaled to 4K, and will play any region and stuff like that. And I might have ordered one of those that hasn't showed up yet, because I have all of my N64 games from when I was a kid, including all of the instruction manuals that came with them. I do not have the boxes anymore because the boxes took up too much space, but I have all of those. So I'm kind of looking forward to going back, and replaying some of the classics, like obviously GoldenEye, obviously things like Super Mario 64, Star Fox 64, but I also want to go back and play Shadows of the Empire again and stuff like that. Some of these games I haven't touched in 20 years. It's been that long, but I'm kind of looking forward to the nostalgia on it.
Huh. I got to look into this. I had not heard of this before. This is cool.
Well, the Analog 3D sold out super fast on pre-orders. They released some limited stock again last week, and they were sold out in 2 minutes because they don't make large quantities.
Oh, wow.
There is another company that is doing another FPGA N64, and I can't remember the name of them off the top of my head, but I can get you some links after the show ends.
Cool.
So continuing with the vintage game stuff, I went out and picked that stuff up. One of the things I didn't realize I thought I had but didn't was a game bit screwdriver. What is that, you might ask?
Ooh.
Well, Nintendo's early versions of DRM was basically, they used a unique screw head that was not Phillips or slotted or the star shape. It's called a game bit. And in order to open up N64 games and Game Boy games and things like that, you have to have the right bit for your screwdriver. So I bought myself a game bit screwdriver so that for some of these games that need a little TLC to open them up and clean things out, I can easily do it. And I think that's supposed to come in the mail today. So maybe it's in my inbox. I'm not sure. And two more things. One's pretty inconsequential. The other we're going to have some fun with. I bought myself a little charging station for work, because I have a lot of stuff at work that needs to charge: my work phone, my headphones, stuff like that. So I bought a little charging station that has like 4 USB-C ports, 4 USB-A ports on it. It's only a 150 watt charger spread between all those, but I would never load up that many of them. And it came with 4 USB-C to USB-C cables free in the box. I went on the 3 Camels site and saw it was pretty much only like $1 cheaper for Black Friday, but I was like, I need it for work, so I can keep things charged up. So I bought a charging station for myself. And I don't think anyone from work listens, but for our White Elephant gift exchange next week, I bought one to put into the White Elephant gift exchange next week, because we all need chargers. We've all got crap we need to charge. We all do.
That's such
Now,
a safe gift, like in a good way.
Know, right?
Like that's awesome.
And I got one last thing to bring up. And we're all grown adults here. We can have an adult conversation where we talk about things.
Can we? It's me. Come on now.
We can. Guess what, folks? Toilet Talk is back for part 3. Part 3. What did I buy? Well, it's that time of year where you see little gadgets go on sale. I bought myself one of the self-installed bidet attachments for my bathroom. It was one that I'd been like, hey, if these ever get cheap, I might do it. It went from being like $52 to $26 as part of the early Black Friday sales. And I was like, okay, for $26, if I try it and don't like it, I'm out $26, because I'm not going to return a bidet attachment if I don't like it. And I'm not going to give it away either.
Yeah,
because that's just weird, even if you clean it.
But if you don't like it, you can just turn it into a dental water floss, right?
There you go. I guess that's true too. So here's where we will be mature adults, and I will say I did install that, and I went, I get it now. I get it when, especially during the throes of the pandemic, when toilet paper was hard to find, people were like, just get a bidet. It's totally worth it. You're going to save on toilet paper too. And I'm not going to get graphic, anything like that. But man, it is a very different kind of clean, and it is pretty cost effective. It took me like 5 to 10 minutes maybe to install the whole thing, mostly because I was just making sure that as I had to attach hoses to the toilet tank, I didn't have any leaks or anything I need to worry about. And I had to put a bucket under there for a little bit of water that would dribble out of the back tank coming out. But it's super easy. It just clips on. The one I got is designed so that you slide it underneath your toilet seat. You loosen the toilet seat so that there's gap in the back, slide the bidet under, tighten it back down on top of it. And then there's a water line that you just basically hook into the water line. It's going into the tank of your toilet. So it is only cold water. And you're done. And I was pretty happy with it. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to return this. This is a pretty nice little thing to have. And I like it. And I feel like, for $26, I got a good bang for my buck. And if you've been thinking about it, if you find a deal like that, go for it.
I was going to make a bang for your bum joke. And then I realized, that's not the joke I wanted.
Ooh.
So that's interesting. I've always wondered about those because I see them come up on Prime Days and stuff. So okay, good to know. And I
think this was the Lux 120. I think is what the brand was for anyone that's interested. I don't know. It was nice. There's what they call a clean shield in the back that covers the bidet so that we're dudes. When you pee in the toilet, things splash.
They do.
Because you stand there and do it. This covers the bidet itself, the nozzle, so it's behind this shield.
Oh, good.
So you're not worrying about that you're peeing on your bidet. And there is an option on the bidet itself where you tell it to self-clean, where basically it locks it so that the bidet doesn't drop down to spray water up. It locks it in place so that it sprays all over that clean shield to clean it on both front and back. And the thing I liked with the model that I bought is that it slides in, but it's also on hinges. So I can pick up the whole assembly and flip it up. And then I can easily clean underneath the toilet. I can get to the rim of the toilet with my brush and whatnot when I'm cleaning and not have to worry about, getting toilet cleaner all over the bidet, because it literally just flips up. Make sure you don't turn it on while it's flipped up. But
Okay, so then I have a question for you.
Quest.
Are you going to make your guests, like, are you going to withhold the toilet paper so that your guests have to use it, or awkwardly say, "Hey, do you have any TP?"
No, I would not do anything like that.
Come on.
It was funny. We did have house guests a little while back, and the one guy was jokingly saying, "Man, I can't poop without a bidet. I guess I can't poop in your house." And I said, "That's by design."
Well, I'm glad to hear that, because I've not known somebody who has gotten one of those individual attachments. Like, I've heard of people getting the really expensive ones, and I'm just like, I don't want to spend that much on a bidet. Like,
right. So like it retails for $50, and I think I would arguably worth the $50 too. But when you can get it for a Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale or whatever for like $26, I was like, okay, $26. If I don't like it, I don't feel like I've wasted a ton of money. I'm like, crap. I spent a little bit. I didn't like it. Oh, well. And I am happy with the end result. But it's something that's going to be a personal preference thing for people. You got to try it to know for yourself.
Do you have a water sensor?
I do have a water sensor under that toilet, actually.
That's good, because,
And so, honestly, one of the things that happened with this is I installed that. And there was a little bit of water that dribbled out of the back of the tank, because you have to turn off the water, drain the tank, because the bidet attachment hooks into the back toilet tank.
Okay, gotcha.
Because you pretty much you put it like a T valve on there, so it splits off to connect into the bidet itself.
Okay.
Well, one of the things I didn't realize is when I was doing that, I kind of rocked the toilet a little bit, and there are two screws that come out of the bottom half of the toilet that lock into the tank.
Right.
One of those screws came a little loose and started dripping. And I didn't realize it, and my sensor tripped. I'm like, I must have just made a mess there. Mopped it up, came back 30 minutes later, and it was wet again. And that's when I realized, these screws that connect that are hand cranked so that you can't over tighten and crack the porcelain. And when I was working in there, I had kind of rocked things a little bit, and that had loosened one of those screws. So I just had to hand tighten it back up. But yeah, that could have been a problem.
Well, I'm glad you got the water sensor.
Yeah. Water sensors, man, they're great. I think I paid like $20 for mine, and it hooks into Wi-Fi and hooks into Smart Assistant and stuff like that. It'll save you a lot of money if it catches something early.
Absolutely. I should probably just make sure I have one in the bathroom, because I have younger kids that don't have control.
Well, I don't mean to be crude, but do they have good aim? They're not going to accidentally trip your water sensor.
That's why I'm saying it should be there, so that I can bust them and say,
okay,
you're the one.
Gotcha.
You're the one.
See, I was thinking of a water safety standpoint, not necessarily you're the random peer.
So come on over to our Discord at GonnaGeek.com/Discord. Go into the Toilet Talk channel, and you can now talk with our resident toilet bidet expert, Chris Farrell.
I mean, I don't know if I'm an expert, but probably the closest thing on this show,
you
at
are.
least.
You are. I look forward to SP coming back, and I feel like it's something that he's got to have some knowledge in. I don't know. It just feels like something that SP is going to have some bidet knowledge. So I look forward to seeing what he tells me. For my Black Friday talk, I did buy a couple of things that I will talk about. And I'll talk about things that I considered but didn't end up getting, because there was a few of them. The first thing that I want to say is I did actually buy myself the family, new Echo Show 5. Now, why did I do that? Number one, I've got a couple of them around, and one of them died not terribly long ago, and I miss having it in that location. But the second reason I bought it is because it's one of the newer models, and if I buy it, if I buy it now, Alexa Plus has come to Canada, but it's still early access and you got to wait. But if you buy one of these devices, you get it. So it's my way to get it. But also I do want to replace that. So it was like half price, pretty much. So I bought that. One of the other things I got, talking earlier about computer components, had this situation happen. I think it was actually on Black Friday. I'm trying to do the math. No, it was the day after Black Friday. So this was
you're in the window for Black Friday.
In the window there. My son ended up. We went to pick up some dinner from a drive-through, and we hear crunch, and it's not our car, luckily, but we look and it's behind us, and I go, oh, when we get home, we got to go take a look at the dash cam because my dash cam has front and back. So I go and I pull the footage, and the footage isn't playing right. So I'm pretty sure my micro SD card was bad. So I immediately look up the Black Friday deals / Cyber Monday deals and found a smoking deal on a 256 gig, the max that it supported micro SD card. So did that.
Nice.
Glad that I found out that problem now before I needed it. So unfortunately I couldn't play that accident. That would have been fun, but nope. Glad that I found that. And it was a SanDisk one of their higher labeled ones or their higher tiered ones. So I was glad that was available. There was two services that I picked up that I thought were decent deals. The first was that I've talked a bit about my smart trailer. Well, I have this hotspot thing for it, and basically the data was the monthly fee was 20% off. So I picked that up, which is nice because it's really just there so I can keep an eye on it remotely and see if there's rodents, see if, make sure things look okay. And so it was nice to have that on a discount. Yes, it's a monthly cost, but it's one that I feel is worth it to protect the investment. And then the other thing too was the VPN service that I use. I do use a VPN service for a few different things. And it was a good deal on, I won't actually say the provider because I don't want to recommend a VPN, but the provider that I used did have a good deal, which was great because I guess it's been a couple of years since I signed up for them, and it was up next month. So I got a good deal on that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it was nice that the timing worked out with that. And then the things that so really it was fairly boring purchases for me. And I really looked, but just like I said, it wasn't great this year in Canada. But two things though that I did really consider that were good deals was there was a consumer level 24 terabyte drive that was a couple $100 off. But I looked at the drives I've got around and I'm like, I'm not going to spend that money. I'm going to see what I can shuffle, see what I've got, try to do some cleanup and just wait because I might not necessarily need that. But it was like, I was geeking out a bit when I was like, wow, I can't believe how affordable 24 terabyte drive is now. I was thinking back to when it was like you were paying up the nose for even a terabyte.
I think I saw that same deal and I went, man, I don't know what I would do with that much storage, but that's wild that this is available and not terribly priced.
Yeah. So I almost did. And then the other thing was back to the smart trailer talk. There was some Blink cameras. The battery operated ones were on sale. I talked about how I'm using the Wyze cameras right now from the whole power station aspect of that. I do think that I need to move eventually towards some battery powered cameras just to keep that off of the main draw so that I can keep my hotspot going and my home assistant where I can have the moisture sensors going. There was a really good deal on some of those as well. But then I went, well, again, just wait, reassess everything. And I think I spoke on the show about how there is a solar panel on the roof. And right now I'm collecting the data, like how much solar do I get in the winter? I think actually today my power station is almost down to 0. And so I figure I'll wait, do the whole assessment over the next few months. Once I start to get towards the spring, I'll have a better idea on how much power I can pull and then can make a decision on that. It was one of those things that I was thinking, what would Chris Farrell do? Chris Farrell would wait. I don't know why, but I think you would.
Yeah. I mean, there's always worth exploring some of the other tech out there and things like that. I thought about some security cameras myself too, but I'm like, I don't really need them because now Wise has some that pair with solar panels and stuff like that, for instance, that are supposed to last for ages upon ages. But I'm like, I don't really need it, but I would like to have at least a camera on the front of my house and back of my house that in a power outage would still be delivering video that I could review, because I have all of my Wi-Fi equipment on battery backup. So if the power is out, I still have battery running my Wi-Fi for a yet to be determined length of time, because I've not been able to run the battery out whenever there was a power outage. And I would like to be able to check a camera to see what's going on. It's something I could do at my old house with a couple of the cameras I had, because they were battery powered. Right. So a power outage didn't faze me.
Well, it seems like it's an area that has really blown up over the last few years as far as offerings. So I think that you'll probably find there'll continue to be lots of deals. So
always.
That was my boring Black Fridays. Yours was much better. I wish that I had something for my tushy too.
Well, yeah, we got to do Toilet Talk Part 3 after doing Part 2. Nobody expect double toilet time. Or Toilet Talk, excuse me.
Double toilet time is going to be the name of the episode.
I love it. I love it when a name accidentally happens.
It's going to have a Gunna in it though, but that's okay. That's just the
gonna have double toilet. Gonna get double toilet time.
I'll figure it out. I'll workshop it.
Do double toilet time.
I don't know. So thanks for checking out.
Ask the AI overlords.
Thanks for checking out another episode of the official GonnaGeek Show, not to be mistaken with the fake one. If you love content like this, please come to our Discord at GonnaGeek.com/Discord. We'd love to have you there. And if you did miss SP, which we know you did, don't worry. He hasn't left the show. Hopefully he'll be back soon. And Boca Chica.
Ah, crap.
I know. You thought you were getting away. I just had to say it.
Good thing my cup only has water in it. So, because I'm an old man.
For episode number 420 of the official GonnaGeek Show, I'm Steven saying, Chris, thank you for sharing 420 with me.
Party on, Steven. Party on.
SP, if you want, we can have another 420 next time.
420.5? It rounds up to 421, but
bye.
Thanks for checking out another episode of the official GonnaGeek.com show. If you like the show, please give us a 5-star review in Apple Podcasts or a thumbs up on YouTube. You can always join us for our live recording sessions at www.geeks.live. And remember, you can find our full back catalog at GonnaGeek.com/show. If you're itching for more geeky content, check out other shows on GonnaGeekNetwork.com. Voice work was by Emily Prokop of The Story Behind podcast. That's it for this episode. We hope to see you back again next show.